Hey guys, it's Drizz the CEO, and I'm coming to you with my very first YouTube video. So if you have not already, please subscribe to my channel down below, like and subscribe as well. And if you haven't already, then shame on you, because that's not cute. That's really not cute at all, to be honest. But my video today is going to be about my journey through pregnancy and dealing with postpartum, because I did a poll on my Instagram and I asked you guys what you wanted me to talk about, and a lot of people voted for postpartum. So I figured, why not just do a video of my journey through pregnancy and postpartum as well. So let's start from the beginning and let's go to when I found out I was pregnant. So when I found out I was pregnant, I actually had just experienced a loss, just like a couple months prior to that. So I was still healing, if you want to say. I was definitely still healing. I had not gotten over that situation, and I was definitely not in the emotional space that I needed to be in to bring a baby into this world. So I had to get my mind right. So the first thing I did was book a doctor's appointment, and I said, I want to be sure. I want this to be, because I was still like a little apprehensive, and I was just like, what? Like, am I really pregnant this quick? So yeah, I said, I want to go to the doctor and I want to be sure that I'm actually pregnant, because I can't deal with heartbreak 2 times in a row. I just can't do it. So I booked a doctor's appointment. I found a whole new doctor, because the previous doctor I had, I felt she was very insensitive and she just didn't have the bedside manner that I needed at that time. And I just felt like she wasn't there for me in the moment that I needed her to be there. So I just needed to find a whole new doctor. So I go to a new doctor. I find her off of Google, actually. It was this website. I forgot the name of the website that I found her on. But I was like, let me just try her out. I just want to get her opinion. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to stick with her, but I'm just going to find out if I'm pregnant at all. So I booked the appointment. I go into the office. Starting with the nurse, she was great. The nurse was very sweet, very nice. I let her know that I was a little scared. I was a little nervous, because I didn't know if I was actually pregnant. Of course, I wanted my baby, but I just didn't want to deal with, any negatives that came with the pregnancy. I didn't want to deal with anything negative, because I still hadn't got over my first, loss. So she was like, okay, everything's okay. Just take a deep breath. We're just going to check for a heartbeat. She was like, because how long do you think you've been pregnant, or when did you take your test? And I told her when I took my test. She said, okay, we're just going to check for a heartbeat just to start. So I said, that's fine. So she checks for a heartbeat, and she's, putting a jelly on me, and she's like, okay, oh, okay, well, I hear a heartbeat. She was like, I hear something. So I'm going to transfer you to this other room. So I'm like, oh, Lord, okay, what does this mean? She moving me from A to B. What that mean? So she was like, okay, I'm just moving you here so the doctor can come in here and actually do an ultrasound and check if there's a baby inside. She was like, because I hear a heartbeat, so I know I'm not crazy. So I'm like, okay, Lord, let's just get it over with. So I want everything to go by fast, because I just want to get straight to the news. I want to get straight to the point. That's me. I don't want to, sugarcoat nothing. I just want to get straight to the point. So the doctor comes in and she introduces herself. She's also very sweet, also very great with her bedside manner. I explained to her everything that had just happened prior, explained to her my loss, the diagnosis that the doctor gave me for my previous baby and everything. And so she was like, okay, let's not stress out. Let's take a deep breath. Let's just do the ultrasound and we'll figure out what to do after that. So we do the ultrasound and I see my baby for the very first time. She is there. She is happy, healthy. I was about 13 to 15 weeks. I was somewhere in between that time. So she was like, yeah, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I instantly called my boyfriend and I'm like, Lord, I was like, I am actually pregnant. I was like, I'm at the doctor's right now. She's telling me, she's confirming it. And he's like, oh my God, for real? Like, wow. Like, and we get over that hump or whatever. So she was like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to refer you to a specialist, because you just experienced the loss, and the diagnosis that the doctor gave you, which was, my baby was diagnosed with trisomy 18, my first baby that I lost. And that is where the baby has an extra chromosome. The life expectancy of children with trisomy 18 is very, very low. So she wanted me to go to a specialist just to make sure that I didn't have those same issues, or that was just, something that happened the first time. It was just the luck of the draw, basically. So I said, okay, that's fine. Of course, I was a little skeptical because I'm like, I already found you. It was hard enough finding you and actually trusting you and coming to an appointment with you. I don't want to deal with nobody else. But for the reason that she gave me, that she was transferring me to a specialist, I said, okay, that's fine. So she was like, you're still going to come to me for your appointments, but you're also going to go to the specialist just to make sure, just to get a second opinion on baby and make sure that nothing is going wrong that we can't see. So I said, okay, that sounds good. So I go to the specialist as well. And by this time, the only person that knows is my boyfriend and my sister-in-law, my boyfriend and his sister, basically. So I'm like, nobody really knows what's going on. So when I go to this specialist, please don't let her give me no bad news, and don't, because I'm going to be in a state that I know I'm going to have to explain to the people around me. I see these people all the time, so they're going to be asking me, what's wrong with you? Like, why you acting like this or looking like this? So I didn't even want to have to go through that. So I go to the specialist, she checks, she does an ultrasound as well, and baby looks great. She explained everything to me, and she was actually very thorough. She actually pointed out everything that I needed to know that was going on with baby. She's like, this is baby's spine, this is baby esophagus, and all that. She just going, in. And I'm just saying esophagus because just to be descriptive, but my baby didn't even have all that developed, all the way yet. But I'm just saying I was being descriptive how she was being. She was very, very detailed in her, descriptions. So I said, wow, this is like amazing, but at the same time, I was still very nervous. I hadn't taken a deep breath because I want to actually get through my first trimester. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take this slow. I'm happy with the news. And she was like, what I would do, because she also explained to me that she had experienced the loss as well. She was like, so what I have done in all of my pregnancies after that, she was like, I have not told anybody. She was like, I would keep my progress and everything to myself. She was like, until you at least get to your second trimester or in the middle of your second trimester, so that okay, at least I can deliver, I can deliver my baby and she can still be healthy. So I said, okay, you know what? That's very smart, because I don't want to get anybody else's hopes up either, because mind you, yes, I experienced the loss and my boyfriend experienced the loss, but everybody that was excited for our baby, they also experienced the loss because we were all so excited, So I said, I'm not going to get anybody hopes up, and, it's bad enough I'm getting my own hopes up, so I'm going to just calm myself down and just take it easy. So we go through all of that, doctor's appointments are going great. Everything's going fine. I'm going back and forth to my OB and to, the specialist, and each time I'm going, they're both telling me good things. They're both like, okay, baby's healthy, baby's good. So I'm like, okay, this is great, but I'm still not taking a deep breath, because I know just as quickly as something can be given to you, it can be taken away. So I didn't want to get all happy and excited and then have my heart broken. So, I go fast forward, we're getting to the second trimester, third trimester. I'm at the third trimester, y'all. I'm making it through. And when I get to the third trimester, she's like, okay, so it's about time for us to start trying to pick out your hospital and this. And I already had the hospital in my mind that I wanted to give birth at, because I had a previous surgery with this particular hospital and I was impressed with the way that they handled me. So I wanted them to deliver my baby. So when it came time to scheduling for them, they were actually fully booked. So I had to get on a wait list. And I was like, oh my God, like a wait list? Baby, I'm tired. I'm walking around. I'm big as a house. I'm ready to drop this baby. And I wasn't sure why the specialist recommended that I get induced. But I just went along with it and went with the flow, because I want to deliver this baby. I want this baby out. So she was like, okay, we got to put you on a wait list because this hospital is extremely full. So the day that they had actually given me the actual date, they called me. The hospital called me and they're like, yeah, we have to let you know that we had to push you back on the list because of something. I don't know what they were saying, but they were like, yeah, because you're number 17 in line and we don't want you getting expecting to get a call tonight and you don't, to come deliver your baby. So I'm like, oh, really pissed me off. So the doctor calls me and she was like, yeah, are you sure you don't want it? Because she actually, when we were talking about the hospital, she told me it was between the one that I wanted and it was another one. But I had gotten some bad reviews about this other hospital and I prejudged them. And I was just like, I don't want to go there because I heard so many bad things about them. And she was like, well, what have you heard? She was like, because I've been delivering there for years. And she was like, I have nothing wrong with this hospital. Nothing bad that's going on. All successful deliveries. So what have you heard? And I'm like, okay, I don't even want to go in the hearsay. Please just get me into the hospital that I want. So come to find out, I wasn't able to get into the hospital that I wanted, so I had to go to this hospital to get my baby delivered. So I go to the hospital, I do all my paperwork, I get into a room, I get settled, and the nurses that came in, they were very, very sweet. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a start. You know, the nurses are good, the nurses are nice, so that's a good thing. I always want somebody with good bedside manner in any situation that I'm dealing with in a hospital, because of the fact that you finna be sticking me with needles, you finna be doing all this, and you're not finna be walking around like you got an attitude. Not dealing with me, boo. No, ma'am. Not finna be sticking no needles in my arm and you walking around looking like the devil. No, ma'am. So the doctor is calling them back and forth. She hasn't made it to the hospital yet, and I've been at the hospital for about like 10 hours at this point. And I'm like, where is my doctor? You know, why hasn't she shown up yet? And she was like, well, she's actually delivering in another hospital right now. And I'm like, didn't she know we had an appointment? She the one told me to come up here. You know, I'm waiting. Me and my boyfriend sitting up there. We tired. He falling asleep. I'm trying to stay up, but I'm falling asleep. I can't eat. They're giving me chicken broth. That was the closest thing to food that I had, y'all. I was so hungry. I was just so hungry. Chicken broth and jello. Y'all, just imagine. And I'm a small girl, but I like to eat. I like to eat now. The doctor finally calls him and she's like, okay, I'm about to be on my way up there. My baby has dilated to about 7 centimeters at this point, and she was 7 centimeters for a very long time, guys. So it was starting to make everybody nervous. And then it got to a point where when I was in the hospital, a lot of doctors just start rushing in the room and they're like, okay, baby's heart rate just dropped and we're trying to get you out. And I'm like, what? Because one, I'm still in and out of it. The epidural had finally kicked in, you know, so I was kind of out of it. I was literally going in and out of sleep. So when they came in, I'm alert, I'm woke, because why all y'all in here, first of all, and why am I waking up to all y'all in here? So they telling me what's going on. They telling me baby's heart rate dropped and that they needed to go ahead and try to do some different methods, get me turned a different way, do this and do that. So I'm like, okay, and they just see my face. I'm literally crying my eyes out because I'm just like talking to God. I'm like, Lord, you not finna do this to me. You not finna take my baby away from me after you just blessed me. You got me through this whole pregnancy, and you not about to take her from me right now. You gonna have to take me with her. I promise. You gonna have to take me with her. That's how I was feeling at that moment, and I hate to say it like that, but that's just really where my heart was at. So we got everything, you know, settled with the baby. Heart rate got back to normal. Doctor finally walks in and she's like, you know, your baby has been 7 centimeters for about 4+ hours. So we're going to have to do an emergency C-section. And I know that's not what you wanted. And she knew that wasn't what I wanted, because I made it very, very clear when giving her my birth plan that I really wanted to do. I started with a natural birth. And then if all else fails, I'll go ahead and get the epidural. I didn't want a C-section. I knew that for sure. So she finally had to break that news to me that I had to get an emergency C-section. And then I'm like, oh my God. She could just tell by my face that I was so mad. Like, I was so pissed because I didn't want to do this, you know? And she was like, why is it that you don't want to do it? She was like, don't you want your baby to be healthy? And I'm like, yes, I do. You know, and it was just something about going under the knife that just was not, it wasn't settling for me. I just didn't want to do it. So I had to get over that. I had to, you know, assess those emotions for, I had at least a minute. I had 1 minute to assess my emotions, to get my cries out, and to be like, okay, you know what? Let's just do it, because I don't want nothing going wrong with my baby. I knew that for real. I just had to get my emotions together, get it right, and move forward. So they rushed me into the other room, and mind you, disclaimer, the medicine that they were giving me to speed up my contractions was giving me the shakes. So I was already like, that's another reason why I was kind of apprehensive. I was just like, Lord, I don't know. Like, I'm shaking. I can't stop shaking every 5 seconds. And they even turned the temperature up for me, and I was still having the shakes. So it had everything to do with the medicine. So I was kind of scared. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to go right, because I'm not feeling right, you know. And when I usually have a feeling in my heart, it's not wrong. It just did not be wrong. It's just something about it. Like when my heart speaks to me, it speaks. And it's telling me, my heart's word is bond, okay? So I'm like, I don't know if this is going to go right because I can't stop shaking. And she was like, okay, that has to be something dealing with the medicine. So we're going to take care of you. Don't worry. So we get to the other room and the guy lays me down and he put something over top of me, like over my arms and stuff, so I can keep my arms stretched out. And I just couldn't stop shaking. Even when he was doing that, I just couldn't stop. And he was like, okay, try to stop moving. And I'm like, sir, I just told you, I'm not trying to move. My body is doing it on its own. I don't know what's wrong. I'm in there like this, just literally like shaking, looking crazy. So the doctor was like, okay, we're going to try to work through it, blah, blah, blah. So they put me down and she starts cutting. Now, she tried to numb me a bit, but I still, when that pressure, when I tell y'all that pressure, that pressure is no joke. I felt that pressure from every incision. I felt it, y'all. Even when she was closing me up, I felt it, especially when she was closing me up. That's when I felt it the most, because that needle, I could feel her literally going in. And she was like, okay, baby's here. And I'm like, already? I'm like, dang, what you do? Because I felt that. And like, what? I'm like, what did you do? And she was like, yeah, baby's here already. And I could see them bringing my baby out, and they're going to, you know, I'm not sure if they cut it or if my boyfriend cut the umbilical cord. I honestly don't even know. It was such a blur during that time. Yeah, I don't know if he cut the umbilical cord or not, because it was such a blur during that time. I was literally in and out of it because of the medicine. So I see them take my baby. They go rinse her off, wash her off, give her a quick little, you know, rinse off. And my boyfriend gets her. He taking these crazy pictures, silly pictures, and I'm literally, that's how you know that medicine is no joke, because I didn't even remember taking pictures with my baby. I didn't even remember like having her next to my face or him holding her next to so I could see her. I don't remember any of that, you know, until I saw the proof when he took the pictures and showed them. Just like me, I don't know how this happened, y'all, but it's always got to be something with me. I'm the fool that ends up having a panic attack after I see my baby. I had a panic attack. So I didn't get to do skin to skin. I didn't even get to hold my baby. I didn't get to do anything. They rushed me up to the 3rd floor of the hospital, and they were like, yeah, she has to stay on this floor, y'all. I'm out of it. They gave me some medicine to put me to sleep. I wake up. And I'm like, where's my baby? I'm like, what's going on? You know, where's my boyfriend? Where's my baby? Why am I not with my baby? And they were like, well, you had a panic attack, or, you know, and they were like, yeah, you kind of freaked out or something they were saying. And I was like, no, okay, I'm freaking out now. I wasn't freaking out then. I feel like I don't feel like I was freaking out at least. But right now, I'm finna go crazy if y'all don't take me to my baby. So they was like, okay, you know, we got to make sure she's in the room, because she's getting something done. She was getting like another wash off or something. I don't know what was going on. They were doing something with my baby. And they were like, we're going to take you up in a few minutes. So they finally got a call to go ahead and take me up. I went up and I saw my baby. I held my baby for like 10 minutes, y'all. I held my baby for about 10 minutes. And then the doctor comes in and she's like, well, we have to take your baby down to the NICU because her temperature has dropped. And I'm like, what? And come to find out, guys, my baby was born with 102 temperature. She had a fever of 102, and I had a fever of 101. So I was just like, Lord, this cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. Like, because it was just like I really hadn't had a moment to really breathe. So mind you, throughout my whole pregnancy, I'm walking on eggshells. And then I have my baby and this is going on. So it's like I'm still walking on eggshells. And I just don't understand what's going on. You know, so they take her to the NICU. I'm like, okay, I got to let them do what they got to do. They take her to the NICU. I'm trying to get acclimated with breastfeeding. I'm trying to pump and I'm trying to, you know, produce enough milk for her. But I wasn't producing enough. So I was also going through an emotional stage then. And it was just like, Lord, what else? What else am I going to have to go through to get to the moment that I need to have with my baby? I need to be able to hold my baby, kiss my baby, be close to her. Like, when am I going to get this time? So I go to the NICU. And the first time I seen her in the NICU, y'all, I just cried and cried and cried. Because I couldn't believe that I wasn't able to be with my baby and my baby wasn't able to sleep next to me. You know, I see moms all the time and they just talking about, you know, how they were able to have their baby's little crib next to them and they sleeping and they wake up and do this. And I'm like, they had the luxury to do that. And I don't even have the luxury to do that. You know, I had to go down to the NICU, get up out my bed, walk after I just had a C-section, down to the NICU to actually see my baby and hold my baby. So that was already a downside to me. You know, it was an upside because of the fact that they were taking care of her, but it was a downside because of the fact that I hadn't been able to hold her or do anything that I wanted to do. My birth plan was just out the window. I go down there and the nurse is actually helping me with the breastfeeding because my baby did not latch. She would not latch at all. So I had to pump. The only thing I had to rely on was pumping. So I went down there 3 times a day, you know, and sometimes, you know, me and my boyfriend actually went down there 3 times a day. We stayed with her as long as we could, you know, and then we ended up just letting her rest. So about a few days go by, I think 2 days, they were like, yeah, we ran some tests on your baby just to make sure that she doesn't have any infections from the fever. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, well, how did they come back? And they haven't come back yet, but if they do come back negative, we'll be able to bring baby up here to you and you'll be able to, you know, for the duration of your time here, she'll be able to stay with you. And I'm like, that whole night, y'all, I'm praying to God, like, please let them tests come back negative. Please, please, please. Because if I don't see my baby, I'm going to click out in this hospital. Like, I'm going to really click out for real. So they come, they're like, test came back negative. We're going to bring baby to you in a couple hours or something, they said. And probably like 30 minutes later, they bring my baby up there. And we are just so freaking happy. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, I finally get to hold my baby and be with her and just experience this time that I didn't get to, you know, experience when I first had her. So that was a happy moment for me. But then it's like when you get out of the hospital and you get back home, that's when your reality sets in. Everything sets in for mom and for dad. Now is when it gets real. Now is when all those instincts kick in for you. You know what I'm saying? Because at the hospital, it's like it's easy peasy because the nurses are coming in taking care of you. They're lightening some of that load for you and dad because they know you've been through a long journey. So they're here to help you. But then when you get home, it's like now you got to get everything in the gear. You got to get on it. You know what I'm saying? So I was already prepared. Like, I want to give my baby a sleep schedule. I want her to sleep during this time. This time I'm going to be pumping while she's sleeping and I'll be doing this and doing that. And it just never, with babies, it's very unpredictable because nothing ever goes as planned. So it's kind of like you have to go with the flow when you have your baby, especially when you first get home. Because you don't know how your baby's going to react to the environment. You don't know how your baby's going to react to anything. And all she's going to want to do is sleep. And the living situation that we were in, it was convenient because I was kind of secluded. I had us secluded and she was a sleeper. My baby liked to sleep and eat. Boom, that's it. Sleep, eat, and boo-boo. You know, she liked to sleep, eat, and boo-boo, and that's it. So I was like, okay, this is going to be easy. But then it started getting to a point where I was literally emotional for absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was like everything was a trigger to me. And I didn't quite understand it. I didn't understand because I had never really been that emotional. I can be an emotional person, but I was never that emotional to the point where I'm just crying for absolutely nothing. Don't even know why I'm crying, y'all. Like, literally one night, my baby woke up in the middle of the night and she was crying. I knew why my baby was crying. She was hungry. But I instantly started crying when I heard her cry. And I didn't know why I was crying. And I was just like, Lord, what is happening to me, you know? So later on down the line, after even dealing with that, I started to think like, you know, well, people have warned me about postpartum. So was I going through postpartum? Because you know what? A lot of women don't realize that they are going through postpartum, even when they really are. You know, even in the midst of that time, they don't understand that they really going through postpartum. You know, and it's something to where you cannot control your emotions. You can't control if you cry. You can't control if you're sad. You can't control if you're having a bad day. Some of those things you really cannot control. You know, it's really a form of depression in a sense because you have to shake back, but it takes a lot of work to shake back, you know? And I knew that I had to shake back from my baby because I was home with her. And at night, my boyfriend was working. So it was like I had to get adjusted and I had to get really into gear. Like, okay, you're going to have to suck these emotions up and you're going to have to deal with it. Yeah, you can cry and you can do all the screaming and all the yelling and anything you need to do for you to get right for your baby, do it. And that's where I was. I was at that point where nothing was going to stop me from getting to where I needed to be. Like, I was going to cry it out, scream it out, fight it out. I was going to do all that. If I had to punch a wall, I was going to do it, because I know that I had to get right for my baby. So, and the reason why I speak about postpartum, or wanted to speak about postpartum, is just from recent events, looking at the Danny Lee situation and the baby situation. It's like men don't really understand what a woman is going through after having a baby. Because one, my body's changed. My mind has changed. Mentality and everything has changed, because I have to get in the gear for what I have to do for this baby. And unlike you, I don't have a moment to sit down and really think about what the next move is. I don't have a moment to do that, because I'm always with my baby. I'm always mom. I'm always going to be in mommy mode, regardless. Even if I'm on vacation, that mommy instinct is never going to leave me, because I'm going to always wonder, what my baby doing? Is my baby all right? Even if I left her with somebody that I feel that she's safe with, is my baby okay? You know, it's always going to be that for mom. So a mom doesn't really get that opportunity to sit back and breathe like a dad does. And I don't think men have ever understood that. Some men do, don't get me wrong. But majority of men do not understand, because you'll never understand what it's like to be a woman, just like we'll never understand what it's like to be a man. So men's mind is more so on, okay, how am I going to provide for this baby? How am I going to do this and do that? And it's easy to get a job and provide, but it's not easy to be present in a moment in another human being's life, and have to be present in every single moment in that human being's life. So it takes a little bit more mental, physical, and, you know, just emotional work for you to deal with things like that. So that's all that on top. Just imagine had I been working as well at that time. You know, I always tell my partner this, you know, just because you clock out of work don't mean you clock out of life. You know what I'm saying? Because when you come home, you should already be thinking about, okay, how can I contribute in this way? Or how could I contribute? Because you could go to work and yeah, you might have a hard labor type of job, and that might make you tired. But just think about physical, mental, emotional, dealing with a baby all day. Just think about that. Just think about how much energy that takes. Just think about how tired a woman can be from dealing with that all day, every day. And it is some single dads out here who really pick up the slack when the mom doesn't want to deal with their child, or they don't have that motherly instinct. When their dad steps in and he does that, you have to commend men like that, because they are firsthand experiencing what a woman experiences. You know, what majority of women experience. So you can only commend men like that. For men to antagonize a woman that's in that mental state and then wonder why a woman lashes out, you can't do that. That's just so crazy to me, you know, because women are dealing with so much when it comes to these children, you know, because you want everything to be perfect. You want everything to be right. You want her to grow up right. You want her to have a good life, and or her or him to have a good life, you know. So it's so many thoughts that run through a woman's mind, as well as having to stay on top of what's going on with your baby. So postpartum is a very serious topic. It's nothing to take lightly. It's nothing to play with. And it's nothing for men to just juggle over a woman's head and just feel like, oh, I can do this and I can play with your emotions and think it's okay. It's not okay. Because just like the story about the woman that jumped out of the window with her 2 children, people were so, oh, why would you do that? And I can never understand a woman that does that. But when this woman was crying for help before she took that route, where were you? Could you understand what she was going through when she was telling you what she was going through? You know, or now you just don't understand what's going on because she committed suicide and she took her babies with her. That's unfathomable to me. It doesn't make sense for somebody to be crying out for help and nobody do anything, especially people around you. And even the woman that was tweeting and she did, you know, had a head-on collision. She literally ran into a whole nother car because she was so depressed and she was going through postpartum with 2 small infants. And people were really bashing this woman for what she did. All the while, before she committed suicide, she was on Facebook, post after post after post, literally giving clear signs that she was going through postpartum, and nobody said anything. So when women are crying out for help, it takes nothing. It takes an ounce of nothing for you to, hey, how you doing? Are you okay today? How are you and your baby? And especially if you're a family member or a friend, can I take some of the load off? Is there anything you need me to do for you? Those few things can go a long way. So just my experience with postpartum and being here now and being more self-aware, postpartum has really made me more self-aware and really made me understand what emotions can do to a person. I get so passionate about it because it's like, for me to have been through it and actually got through it, that's a milestone for me. That's a milestone for most women, because women are like, wow, the fact that I actually went through that, you know, that's why people don't understand women are really strong people. We're strong people to go through something like that and then continue life as if it never happened. Continue life. And I'm not even going to say continue life as if it never happened, but continue life and really still get to it and do it. Like, that takes a lot out of a person. So men, I hope this educated you a little bit. Women that don't have children and that don't understand, or that were very uneducated as well, I hope this gave you some insight. And if not, that's okay, because it'll be somebody else that'll talk about postpartum and they'll maybe put things into perspective for you as well. So if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, comment more topics that you'd like to talk about, comment things you'd like to see. Follow all of my social media handles. They'll be listed down below. And also, if you need any hair, anything dealing with hair, please get at your girl, okay? Follow my business page as well. It'll be listed down below as well. And I hope you guys have a good day. Thanks so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. And